The media has a new phrase this week to deepen the gender divide. It's called mankeeping. And it is as annoying and infuriating as you're probably thinking when you heard the phrase mankeeping. What could that possibly mean? Well, according to Vice, this is what it means. Managing his stress, interpreting his moods, holding his hand through feelings he won't share with anyone else. All of it unpaid, unacknowledged, and often unreciprocated. Is it any wonder women are fed up? Mankeeping is why more and more women are done with dating. Mankeeping.
That's not even a word!
Obviously, there's so much to this that we're going to read this article. We're going to see exactly what this author meant in more detail by the phrase mankeeping. But thankfully, just to get us started here, that particular post obviously went crazy viral. And so readers added context on X. And it says, mankeeping is essentially a rewording of caring for a man in a relationship, with connotations that it is often a burden and unequal. This is more advocacy than neutral reporting, with a clear ideological slant that prioritizes feminist equity over balanced causation, which is just a great little own by the community notes there. I saw that and I was just immediately appalled, because in a relationship, it just defines all those things. Interpreting moods, helping to manage stress, holding his hand through feelings he won't share with anyone else. That's what a girlfriend or a wife does. That's what a relationship is for. But then they're trying to phrase it like, oh, well, if it's unpaid and unacknowledged. What? Of course it's unpaid. It's a relationship. Was this written by a sociopath? All of it unpaid. Apply this same logic to parenting or any other human relationship, and the whole world falls apart. Exactly. We live in such a narcissistic culture that they can even rephrase it as, well, you're carrying someone's emotional burden unpaid? Ugh, what?
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
Hello, that is a normal, healthy relationship. Okay, so when you open the article, this is how it starts. Researchers at Stanford have finally given a name to something many women have been dealing with for years. It's called mankeeping, and it's helping explain why so many women are stepping away from dating altogether. This is what the researchers at Stanford are spending their time doing. Naming something that has been around since creation itself, since man and woman came together and were in relationship. I mean, oh my gosh. I want to laugh, but I'm annoyed, so I'm not laughing. Mankeeping describes the emotional labor women end up doing in heterosexual relationships. It goes beyond remembering birthdays or coordinating social plans. It means being your partner's one-man support system, managing his stress, interpreting his moods, holding his hand. Again, this is just a relationship. And the fact, too, that it starts off by being like, well, men do this, and women don't? We don't have moods that go like this, and the man has to keep up with. What? I laughed out loud when I first saw that, because it's like, what would you call woman keeping? Are researchers at Stanford researching that phenomenon? The fact that our hormones are different every single day of the month?
Oh my God.
I mean, if we're talking about being irregular, it's us. Like, we are more like that. But no, it's the men. Now, I'm not saying that all men are perfect, but I'm saying on average, there is a normalcy about this that is good and right, and again, normal. And I would argue that it's more men that actually hold that emotional stress and those burdens for their women. Every man who has ever been in a relationship with a woman reading this. I mean, that's the most glaring thing here. I can't. My poor husband has survived 11 years of PMS. You cannot convince me he is the one who has it easy. Mankeeping is not a thing. Stop putting man in front of words to make it a negative, which they keep doing all of the time.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
It's also funny because weren't these same women and these feminists and whomever is writing this article, weren't they the ones being like, you know what? No, men need to be more emotional. They need to show their emotions more. They need to be more open and vulnerable and delicate and dainty. Okay. So it seems, at least according to these researchers, they got that to some degree, but now they don't want it. No, because that means that they have to now carry that burden. Guess what, ladies? You can't have it both ways. Maybe we should just stick with how men biologically want to be. What is just their nature. They want to be closed off, but they want to be stoic. They want to hold the burdens of the emotional then let them. The root of this issue is tied to what experts are calling the male loneliness epidemic. Experts, we've never heard of this. Guess what? It's a big thing. If you're paying attention to men's needs at large, you would know that this is the problem. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying. As more men report having fewer close friendships, romantic partners are expected to pick up the slack. Instead of processing with friends, many men offload onto the women they're dating. She becomes his entire emotional infrastructure. As I always love to put as a disclaimer for a lot of women do not feel this way. I cannot name a single woman in my life who feels this way. But as always, the media tries to perpetuate a certain ideology, a certain belief, and then normalize it. Like, we're gonna come up with this word called mankeeping, and then we're gonna put it into the mainstream and everyone's gonna use it. No. Now, unlike the author, clearly, of this article, if you're in a happy, healthy relationship and you want to find some great gifts this season, it is officially November. It's gift-giving season. season, and you don't have to sweat it because the Daily Wire shop is your go-to for conservative gifting. You can get up to 30% off great gifts for the conservatives in your life, like the Leftist Tears tumbler, the collected poems of Donald J. Trump coffee table book, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. All you have to do is go to dailywireshop.com and take advantage of these early Black Friday deals and enjoy Christmas anticipation stress-free. That's dailywire.com/shop. Okay, go get some goodies for the loved ones in your life. Let's go back to talking about this relationship that is not loving. Okay, so they do finally acknowledge it here. Some men have started opening up more, which is good. Okay, but too often, that openness lands in the lap of the person they're sleeping with instead of a therapist or friend. You don't say that vulnerability that women so desperately want would then land in the laps of the woman in their life. Duh! They're not going to open up to their BFF, they're going to open up to their girlfriend. What women want isn't complicated. They want shared effort, mutual support, emotional responsibility that doesn't get passed off like a group project. Of course they want that. But that's not what this article is about. They are labeling men of this thing called mankeeping and then harping on it. Of course we all want shared effort and mutual support. That's not what this toxic freaking article is talking about, though. But they added in at the end just as a caveat. Well, what they want is really not that complicated. Okay, then don't make a complicated article making a new definition about a word called mankeeping. It's garbage journalism, and it makes me mad. Honestly, I don't even want to define that as journalism, but here we are. If being loved and cared for is going to be rebranded as mankeeping, I see why men would be opting out of dating much higher than women. Again, let's talk about that. It makes me laugh because I was reading this while sitting next to my dear husband last night, thinking about, this year for myself in particular, the amount of woman-keeping that my husband has had to bear for me is immeasurable. I mean, and I know I'm not the only woman out there who has experienced that, but you will never see mainstream articles written about the reverse. Ever. And what I really want to stress here is how important what the media writes and talks about does affect the way that the genders view each other. I mean, we see it time and time again. We saw it for the last couple decades, and look where we're at. I mean, heck, just last week, it was, well, boyfriends are embarrassing. And this week, it's caring for your significant other's emotional well-being is actually man-keeping? Really? I mean, it's great that we have another term for feminist scholars to glom onto and complain about. But the real question here that I have after reading this article is why don't any of these so-called journalists spend their time researching the actual gender divide that's happening? Like looking into the fact that so many men and women are opting out of dating altogether. Yes, it is a huge conversation, but it's one that we should start having. And it's one that these researchers, who their whole job is to simply research, should spend a lot more time focusing on. They could finally be ones working to fix the divide rather than making it worse. Thank you for watching this episode of The Comment Section. If you want more episodes like this, please subscribe to this channel and like this video if you enjoyed it. And for other content, you can follow me on my personal Instagram and X, and make sure to follow us on our new Comment Section Instagram page. I'll see you guys in the comments.